Mr. Zink, my good sir, what do you have for us this week? What are you looking at?
The main thing that I'm watching is Tesla moving off of the reinstatement of Trump over the weekend.
All right. Well, like you said, Zink, we do have that half day on Friday, which would be nice. Which will mean I get half day off before I need to have all the rest of my contracts expire worthless for covered calls and covered puts. Speaking of that, I'm bracketed right now. I've got covered calls deployed. I've got covered puts deployed. Because on a higher time frame, we're sitting right in the middle of a range that we spiked up to, and we've been popping. We've been popping for weeks now. I'm not entirely sure how high we're going to draw up to, or what the price action is going to look like moving into the 400s. We broke it briefly with SPY, and we still have that big descending resistance that we've been respecting. So, for me, I'm just going to keep bracketed because this is right now the volatility's just been all over the place. We've seen spikes up, we've seen major drawdowns, and I want to make sure that I'm covered both sides. So I've got the wheel running. I'm trying to get exercise on shares. I know I've been telling you guys for probably 2-3 weeks now that I've been desperately trying to get exercise on shares. So what I'll end up doing is I'll probably clear my covered puts, clear my covered calls for profit, and just buy the shares outright rather than waiting for them to get exercise and run the wheel through that method. I'll buy the shares outright at levels when we start to draw down, instead of saying, all right, now we're drawing down, premium looks good for covered puts, just back that up a little bit, get legs that I want, but also say, hey, I like this price point, I want to buy some shares. What do you have for us this week? What are you looking at?
The main thing that I'm watching is Tesla moving off of the reinstatement of Trump over the weekend. And Trump accumulated well over 88 million followers now, which is about 4 times that of Biden. So that's going to cause obviously a lot of movement on. It's going to cause a lot of movement on Twitter's side, but as Twitter is no longer a publicly traded equity, it's under Tesla. Tesla's going to face the effect and aftermath from Elon's decision.
Did you say how many times more than Biden?
He's got 4 times more followers than Biden in less than 24 hours.
All right. Well, we can double check that, make sure the numbers are squared away. But I mean, you have my full trust, so I just think that's I think that's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I thought Biden. When Biden's at 27 million, Trump's is at 87.6 million, so 3 times.
That in 24 hours, the country has spoken. I'm not gonna say anything else.
That and then something else I'm looking for is on the daily chart, daily time frame on Microsoft. We have a pretty strong bull flag. It's formed since November 11th, and Microsoft is consolidated between 247 and 238 for
Microsoft
2 weeks. If you go to the daily time frame on that.
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second.
It's also bouncing off the EMA. So if this breaks out, I think confirmation for a breakout of that would be about over 244.50 or 245. Let's see, 250.65, and then if it breaks that, 260.
Okay.
Easily.
What else are you looking at?
That and then the video with relative strength as well, because they reported a miss on earnings.
Oh.
It was a 17% miss on shares and a 2% beat on revenue. But 17% miss, I think, should outweigh that little gain in revenue. So I'm watching the relative strength on that, as well as how it reacts to all this crypto news. As crypto miners are some of the biggest suppliers or the biggest consumers for semis, just all around, with their 3090s, 3070s. Gaming's kind of fell off with like Xbox and PS5 being so prevalent, so I don't think many people are buying gaming PCs. They rather just buy a pre-built, nice and easy Xbox or PS5.
Right.
So I
Right.
don't think gaming has that much of an impact, but crypto mining for sure was one of the major reasons that Nvidia was all the way up at 340 2 years ago
Right.
or last year.
I've got a PS5 and I've got a 3080 PC with 32 gigs of RAM and i9 in it, and for whatever reason, it just every computer I've ever had can't stand Call of Duty. So I'm glad I've got the PS5 because if I want to play Call of Duty, it's going on the PS5. I'm with you. I'm with you. Some of these games are just smoother and it's just easier to turn a console on and do that rather than having to deal with all the internal files, storage. I mean, some of these games are unbelievable. And since cryptocurrency is getting hit so hard, a lot of these semiconductor companies are not in as high demand. I bet the purchasing frequency for graphics cards for miners and etc. I bet it's just gotten absolutely crushed. And I know that the FTX Binance issue is probably just I can't imagine how much of the money has gone, how much of the liquidity has been pulled out of the crypto market. I'm not going to get into all that, but we'll talk about it in another video, I'm sure. But yeah,
The main reason I think that gaming doesn't have that much of an impact is mainly looking into this new MW2 and how they built it. So that gives a telltale sign to me that one, they're aiming towards the general public, not the professional gamer.
yeah.
It makes sense, but doing so, they kind of even the playing field. I
Yep.
don't know if you've seen anything on that on MW2.
No, I just downloaded Warzone, so I have it, but I haven't looked into it much.
So a lot of people are backlashing MW2 just because it's evened out playing field. There's not as much of a gap for skill base. That's why they took out a lot of things like jumping, slide canceling, all that stuff that really defines like a good player versus an average player.
Okay.
So it makes it so the average middle class man or lower class man can just come home from work, hop on, and have fun rather than just getting absolutely destroyed. And I think that's the same case for semis. Like most working class men and women would rather just buy a pre-built $500 Xbox One or PS5, have that ready for them when they come home, rather than ordering a $2,000 computer, building it themselves, and then playing complex games or playing even the simple games.
Right. No, loud and clear. Loud and clear. And I wonder where the crypto market's headed from here. I mean, because I'm pretty confident that crypto's going to. I mean, in the past, there's been huge uprises in the S&P 500, and crypto's done the same and has had green days on the same days as the S&P. But I think with all of the Binance, FTX, all this other crap, and all these absolute frauds, I truly believe that crypto's going to decouple from the S&P. I think the market's going to start recovering soon, and I think crypto's going to be flat, if not lower than where it's currently sitting. And so everybody knows I'm a little biased against crypto. I think the majority of it is crap. I think the majority of it is not very beneficial. I think that there's a false sense of security with cryptocurrency. I love the idea of it being a currency that is separated from the government and that is not necessarily controlled by the government. If that is true, big if. But if we find out that the government's owned and controlled this currency forever, I don't care whose government it is. You know, it's no matter whose government it is. If it was the United States of America's government, you know, that's not as bad as Russia owning it. Surprisingly, you know, maybe not going to get too deep into it, but at the same time, it's a very, very new concept, and I understand that there's only so many coins in circulation with some of these major coins, but if these different government entities wanted access to your crypto and the whole 9 yards, they can get it. And understand that unless it's on a USB, a flash drive, etc., whatever, you know, wherever you guys store it, or internal drive, wherever, They can get it. They can absolutely get it. So,
I think a big telltale sign for us is that last time we saw Bitcoin at these lows, the market was at like 355, 360. And now Bitcoin and Ethereum is at these lows, and the market's staying on the 400.
It's interesting. I haven't checked on the crypto market. I didn't realize that they had taken a bigger hit from S&P and stuff.
yeah, I'm pulling up.
All the way down to 16,000 on Bitcoin.
Wow.
It's sitting at just above 16,000 right now.
Just want to let everybody know, if you use TradingView, there's a 60% off Black Friday sale on plus one free month for whatever they offer. I just pulled it up so I could look at Bitcoin. So, if you guys use TradingView or want their whatever they're offering, 60% off. Cool. So, as I tell ex-girlfriends, just because it's a deal and you're getting 60% off doesn't mean you're not spending money. So.
Yeah, but when you've been wanting to buy it for
Right, I understand. I know, Mike. I know. All right, let me check out Michael while I'm pulling up the cryptos to see how they're doing. You want to cover what you were talking about?
Yeah, just more of a intraday analysis, I suppose. I do still have a bullish bias. I want to see possibly 408 on SPY. Getting real intraday, we could sweep liquidity, sell side liquidity down at 393-ish, all the way down to, probably the end of 393, and then maybe targeting 396.50 as per the upside. But then, like I said, overall, trying to target that 408 price level with bullish bias. So yeah, not too much. It's been consolidating for the past 10 days. Could go to both sides, just being cautious with it. I do have bullish bias because we broke resistance, we'll just call it that, and then we traded back in and held market structure. We made higher highs. Lowers, higher lows, and higher highs.
Well, Bitcoin's coming up a little bit, interestingly enough. I mean, cryptocurrency does have a cult following. Sorry, Mike, I was listening to what you were saying, but I'm just, it's just nuts to me. Now, the only thing that I could ever see, truthfully, for me, in regards to utilizing a cryptocurrency, would be, hey, I'm in a foreign country, and I don't happen to have enough currency for X, Y, and Z, and maybe whoever I'm speaking to takes X, Y, and Z cryptocurrency. Like, that's the only thing that I can see a use case for.
Or if you want to be in that scenario, gold, commodity, silver, countries are, I don't know, I'd say more people are likely to take gold rather than Ethereum or Bitcoin.
Well, it depends on what kind of people you're talking to, right? Like, I'm not talking about street vendors. If I'm traveling, I'll have the money I need for the street vendors. I'm talking about the people that I'm going to meet. So.
Like his Russian oligarchy friend.
I don't have any Russian friends. Actually, I have one buddy of mine who's in the U.S. Navy, who's of Russian descent, but he's my only friend. Only friend that is loosely associated with Russians.
You had to correct yourself there. You have more than just one friend.
Only friend that is associated with that. Yes, I do have.
He was Italian.
No, it's not him. It's not Birdie. Birdie and I are very clear on what we are. We are Italian. All right. Well, just to finalize the pre-market stream, thank you guys for contributing. I appreciate it very much. Mr. Zink, thank you. Michael, thank you. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add before we close it up for the morning and start trading? We got everything out? Looks like it.